Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Shift Talk today. I am so excited to have this conversation. Another shift moment, another shift master is coming to the stage today. And I definitely want you all to get in here and join the conversation. We are pre-eclipse season. Let me just say that. So the energy is intense out here in these streets. And it is sometimes people don't even know why they're feeling what they're feeling. And it's a lot of water energy. It's a lot of feminine energy. So we're in Virgo season. We're getting ready to go into a Pisces influence eclipse. And so talk about the divine mother, talk about the divine feminine, talk about feminine energy. It doesn't matter your gender, you may be feeling it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. You came in here to see shift, feel shift, and to shift your consciousness. I am LaTonia Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, Passion, and Profits. And today I'm going to bring to you Tonia Lewis. Tonia Lewis is an entrepreneur for over 33 years. Okay. And she has raised 6 children, so she's a mother. She also has been a celebrity stylist. She calls herself a heart-centered freedom fighter. We are in good company. And I love the kind of sisters and I call it sistership or sisterpreneurs, that where another sister introduces us together. And so I want to introduce her to the community because I'm getting ready to do her summit, which is called Feminine Fortune, y'all. So let's talk about women and money in all of this. But I'm going to bring Tonia to the stage so that it's something about those Tonias, huh? So I'm going to bring Tonia to the stage so she can talk more about herself. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the stage, my love.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Like, it is such an honor to be here having like a conversation that matters. I've been excited since the moment that you called me this morning. And of course, we're both lovers of the divine flow, and this is it. And so we're in it. So I'm just ready to get in the river with you.
Oh, I love the river. Yes, the river. So listen, what I want you to do is I want you to tell the audience in your own words a little bit more about yourself. I'm going to actually give you the center stage because I've been rushing just like you since yesterday. And so I want to get them. And listen, y'all, she is not last minute. This was not last minute. It was inspired. And there is a difference. So go ahead, Tonia, tell them who you are, a little bit about more about your background and all of that.
Yes. Again, just so honored. And you're absolutely right. Like this, I love that you move in so much inspiration, LaTonia, and just the gift of having you be introduced in our gorgeous sistership has what always happens. It's birthed something new, right? So the honor of being here to share is unspeakable. As far as me, in title, in terms of the work that I do in the world and how I serve, I'm an international business and success coach, a multipreneur of over 33 years, celebrity stylist, femininity expert, a global speaker, and the founder of The Total Woman. But my most beloved roles, and you mentioned it, is being a mama, got a beautiful clan of 6 God-given children and one that 6 that I birthed and one that God gifted me with, and now a gammy of 10. So our beautiful tribe is just flourishing, and my heart space as a girl who left home at 15 and I really feel like I'm an overcomer of becoming a product of my environment, right? So for any of you that have felt like your identity is really locked into your family of origin, I feel like I was really blessed to understand that, first of all, I'm a lover archetype in this world. And I'm not talking romantic love. I'm talking just here to love, here to connect with other humans and freedom fight, so that the same way that I transitioned my life from a place where choice and the luxury of choice wasn't always as obvious, that I became a being that recognized that I could consciously create my life and everything that I saw in my mind's eye. So I'm here to help everyone do the same, and just to love on my other, my brothers and sisters globally and learn. We're all here in Earth School. So that's why I love spaces like this, LaTonya. So thank you for creating this.
Thank you. We're going to talk more about feminine fortune because sometimes the ladies are working, they're double dipping. Some, even the entrepreneurs are entrepreneuring. And so
Yes.
they trickle in here. And I want them to get the meat of feminine fortune from your words, because I don't email as much as some people who do marketing and that type of thing.
Mhm.
My audience likes a little bit of interaction and touch, but I want to know more about you, and I want them to know more about you because you didn't just fall into entrepreneurship, right? So, like, tell us, and you certainly didn't just fall into femininity. Did you come from a line of women who taught you femininity?
No, I didn't, and not in an intentional way. Like, of course, we're being taught, right? Like
Yeah.
we're observing, so we see the dynamics of womanhood in the women around us and the women that have paved a path for us. But I would say that a lot of the women that I observed were in their masculine more. There was a lot of survival energy, and there was definitely a denial of the desires of the heart, and identifying more with what people expected of them than actually being in authentic self-expression. And
Mm-hmm.
often the self-expression was in so many ways, it was a result of trauma. And so even in that way, it wasn't as rich and as deep and as connected as I later learned for myself what true femininity is, and the blend and the balance, and kind of looking at the archetype of the queen as that beautiful blend where we bring the masculine structures that we need that give way to the feminine into our lives so that we have a greater level of flow.
Where are you from?
I'm from upstate New York, so I'm originally from Rochester. I was
Oh,
raised.
so you definitely come in from a city that's a little cold and kind of hardcore.
Yes, ma'am. Really hardcore. Yeah, yeah. Like, and listen, I also, that's why I say I've been very blessed to create a new kind of a reality, because when you leave home at 15, especially when the home is turbulent, right? And again, we have our family members that are doing the best that they can,
Yeah.
in the level of knowledge and consciousness and wisdom and understanding that they have. But in my family, it required me to really have a vision for something that was higher.
Yeah.
And I completed my term in my teen years and left early. And you're right, I also had to be in my masculine a lot just to survive after leaving home at 15. And being out on my own and not having the kind of mentoring and nourishment, right?
Mhm.
And learning, like, we have our nervous systems, and no one was imparting how to make it a nourished system. This was
Mhm.
more about how do you just make it. And as you said, in an environment where it's not for the faint of heart, like, you'll get your
Mhm.
neck stepped on if you don't have a little bit of get up.
Yeah, right. So, you said a few things, and I still want to stay with who you are,
Mhm.
because I want to save as much for your summit as possible around femininity, because in the middle we're going to get into, navigating this journey of entrepreneurship, motherhood, all of these different things that we have to navigate. Because you said multipreneur, and I love that, because so many of us come from philosophies of I got to have a niche, and I got to, we've been taught business by men.
Correct.
We get modeled how to run our businesses like men, and then worry why we are burnt out.
That's right.
So I love that you are a multipreneur. So tell me a little bit about your journey to entrepreneurship. What came first, entrepreneurship or motherhood?
So my motherhood came first, and my motherhood inspired me becoming an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
One, because I had such a deep desire, like it's no, there's just everything divine about me even becoming a mother of 6 natural children and the one that God blessed me, because I desired family and I desired the opportunity to love and nourish and create within a family legacy. And when I had my first daughter, I had a banking job. So this was really interesting because I'm so non-corporate in my own energy and personality. But I was working at the bank. I came from a legacy of a family who had a very popular, like my stepfather received the key to the city after he passed, and just a really prominent boutique. And so I was raised in boutique life, and I learned a lot from that. I gleaned, and I knew how to do that money thing. So I went and applied at the bank and was at this super unloving bank job, for lack of a better word. I was the youngest there, and I was the only girl with brown skin. And it was tense, and it wasn't an environment that mirrored my heart and my soul. And I remember my daughter being sick, and them not allowing me to call her, even though I had a phone right on my desk. And that, for me, as a woman who was taking a stand for my mothering and ensuring that my daughter had my presence, it was a wake up. And I started thinking different. And I started also recognizing, like, girl, you were born to hustle. You come from hustlers. You come from people who innovate, that are creatives. I knew I was a creative. And I allowed myself to step into that, because what I recognize about myself, and what I think is important for other people to do, is I stopped making myself wrong for knowing that I am dedicated and devoted to freedom. I like to have my own schedule. I like to be in rhythm with my body and my cycles. And I knew it young. I knew it young, LaTonya. And for me, I was like, I got to be able to run my own world. So that's where it started. Motherhood inspired me. And as I went, on with my journey and had my oldest sons, it really reinforced, like, I need freedom. I need to be able to be present to my children and create what I want.
So, okay, so you saw me multitasking here just to get people in here from IG. I'm still retraining people to remember that we are live here, not on IG. But when I hear you talk about working in a boutique, that actually sounds fun. Is that how you became a celebrity stylist?
No, I had my own boutiques after that. So coming out of a family that I was raised, like from 9 years old, I started working. I always worked. I loved making my own money, and I loved style, and I loved fashion. I come from a mother who, now this was the aspect of femininity that I did see modeled really well. I came from a mother that was extraordinarily gifted in her sense of style. She knew what she liked. And one thing about my mom is that she never conformed. And that was hard as a child, especially because I was mixed and I was raised in an environment at that time where, I kind of wanted to blend in, to be honest. When you're in your second grade, you want your mom to look like the other moms. At least I did. And my mom was very eclectic. She was sensual. Like, she just had her thing with that. So I think that naturally I developed a love for fabrics, for texture and culture. And we had that in our lives. We had friends from every walk of life, from every culture, every background, every socioeconomic status. Like, we were really fortunate in that way. And so I saw style, and I just think it's our essence, right? Like, I came here loving beauty, loving the way that women express themselves, and men as well, with style. And I later I started a nail business, and then that evolved into having a boutique and a salon. And along the course of that time, I met various celebrities, and I was doing people's nails. And then eventually I was coaching someone to get fit for the Grammys with this weight loss product that I had. And, you know, after that, some people were just on roster with me for, I'd run to New York, LA, bring back all the goodies, and their team, or they would choose beautiful things. And then I was able to help with a little album cover and a few different things. And then that progressed to just seeing women who, I believe every woman has a celebrity in them. I believe that we all have a star within. And I've watched women use style to really evolve into their next, like that real beautiful flowering version of themselves.
So let's talk a little bit about that then. How did you help a woman, for instance, tap into her feminine through style? Because now we have a culture that is quite overdone. Everybody wants to look like the Real Housewives. And there's nothing wrong with that but I mean, you said something about your mother being eclectic, meaning she was an individual.
Very much.
Own sense of style.
Yep.
So, well, you know, and y'all don't bear with me. We're going to get into some of the stuff that we're dealing with when it comes to this soft life and the feminine and being rich and wealthy and what that means for the feminine. Like, do y'all want to talk about being wealthy? Do you want to talk about money, sisters? The y'all who are watching, don't just be a watcher. Let me know in the comments. Talk back to us, because I know many of you are multitasking. So, yes. So tell me a little bit about maybe a good example of how you got a woman to tap into her femininity through style.
You know what I love about style? And here's what's beautiful about this question. I literally just hung up with one of my clients. So we were having a session, one of my coaching clients, and she is transforming her body. And so from various seasons of life, she's acquired some weight that she has this desire to release. And also she's seeking what's really true for her in her next season of life. And one of the things that I think that can give clues is to make sure that your environment really supports your becoming, right? And so I was mentioning to her that no matter what size we are, allowing yourself to be truthful with what you desire to express, that is when we're strengthened in our feminine. That is when we're not denying, we're not pushing back, we're not dismissing, we're actually aligning with the truth of our essence. We have an essence. That's why you're inclined to love certain colors, or why you feel wealthy in a certain fabric, or why you just feel better in your body. Listen, I am now I'll be 55 this year. This body has endured a lot. This body has supported so much, right? And we've got our hormonal shifts and all the things. We could go on for days about it all. And each of us, we're experiencing changes. So for some of you, what used to feel good to your body, it doesn't feel like you can step into that look as well. And I feel like, LaTonya, when women, it can sometimes take us a little bit of time, but when we're donning, my loves, when we're donning what embodies the truth of who we are, it creates a vibration. It creates a radiation of your luminosity that is possible no matter what you're going through in life. And I feel like clothes open doors. I feel like good clothes that make sense for you. Tell the truth. You become a truth teller when you're in your own style, and you actually emanate more of your essence and your divine power and your true femininity. So Tonia, to answer your question, LaTonya, the connection to style is that it's allowing yourself to be who you really are. My mom is still to this day great at that. And she birthed a daughter who is. And we joke about how that was even when I was a child. And I'm really grateful that that was one of the things that she allowed, was for me to be me in my own sense of style, right?
I love that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. So, when we talk about looking good, I think Black women in particular, melanated women, tend to master the art of looking good on the outside while all the time suffering in silence. And, the way that I heard Spirit to invite you on is, was born out of our more casual conversations outside of planning for the summit.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? There's another woman somewhere like us
Mm-hmm.
who's not like them, right? Because this is a not like us series that I've been doing, but
Yeah.
they're like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they want to tap into their feminine, but they don't know how to get off the treadmill. They
Mm.
don't know how to stop being the first responder in their family. They don't know how to even talk to a man because they've never seen it modeled.
Mm.
They don't know how to even cultivate their boys because most of us have come from either hard and harsh environments, or we've
Mm.
seen our mother have to materialize that type of energy. So what I'm getting at is the women who are high achievers and high
Mhm.
performers, this thing of suffering in silence, right? Looking good on the outside and suffering in silence on the inside.
Mhm.
How have you been able to navigate lifing and still be soft?
Yeah, and I thank you first of all for acknowledging that, right? Because I think in some aspects of life, it hasn't always been celebrated to have softness, right? This made us feel vulnerable, or that this was speaking to weakness. When people say you're really sensitive or you're really soft, and I think also that most of us are the combination of both. I feel like if you're really in your royalty and you're on your throne, you have a fierceness, right? We have to contend for things. We have to protect. We're guardians of what it is that God has blessed us with. And at the same time, our softness gives way to our power. And intuitively, I think that I just recognize that vulnerability and real like potency of what's really true, right? Speaking your truth, sharing your truth. I will say this, Latanya, you create a beautiful space for that to happen. I felt that so naturally even yesterday when I did send you a message. But as I mentioned to you, some of that is just me hearing the little whispers of my own spirit and saying, I want to say these words to this beautiful soul and just tell her what I was experiencing as we were chatting earlier, and what I was actually walking through, and how this brought light and it brought a sense of like beauty for another vision beyond the moment of turbulence, right? And so I feel like for me personally, vulnerability is power. So authenticity and
Yes.
vulnerability is power. So I don't even know how I got this message so well, but like I feel like I've had a sense of it since my 20s. And I think that it has something to do with this. When we're not walking around pretending, when we allow ourselves to be seen, we allow ourselves to be held. If we're invisible to us, we're invisible to everyone, right? But not being in your softness and not being in your truth of what's really transpiring for you personally, it's a self-abandonment. It's a self-rejection. And
Mm-hmm.
abandonment and rejection, they're difficult enough. But when
Yes.
we do it to ourselves, I feel like
Yes.
they're brutal. It's brutal to self-reject. It's brutal to self-abandon. And so when we don all the beauty, or we take our cues from, like there's so many things that I love, and I am a part of so many of the various communities out here, right? Where there's a look or there's a this. I've been identified with it. I've walked in so many places, and people are like, "You look like you're on such and such, and you look like you're on such and such." And the reality is that some of those are actually women that I know and I love, and then there are other spaces where I know I'm in love with that community because these are my conscious girls. These are like, we get down and it's all so real and so raw and so honest, right? And I find that in all of the communities that I enter, because what I do feel is authenticity begets authenticity. Transparency begets transparency. Our own bravery gives access. It gives a pathway for others to actually feel safe, to become more of their own authentic self, right, LaTonya? And so I just feel for myself, for a sense of wholeness, like my whole mission here, as I'm knowing that God allowed me to create the total woman, is that it's about wholeness. It's about bringing back all the parts of ourselves that we've dropped along the way, and for us to come home, like really come home to our heart space.
Yes.
Our
Yes.
essence. Like, this isn't roles. This isn't what we drive. This isn't where we live. This isn't who we're with. This isn't our babies. This isn't our accolades. This is our essence. And when you've been stripped down, when everything goes, like loss has taught me, it's raw, it's real when you lose people and you're not expecting that. And you have to walk in the heaviness of death, right? And transition and evolve because death occurred. There's no plan A left. There's only plan B. And what I've learned from my own season of loss and multiple losses and the hardness of that season,
Yes.
is what I had, what I carried was my heart space, my compassion, my value system, right? Our core values. And until we're connected to our heart and we're able to be with our sisters in the way that we are revealed, in the way that we're revealed, it's not about people's reaction to our vulnerability. It's not about whether they love us or like us or accept us or include us. Our inclusiveness has to be for us. We have to be visible to us and our needs and our truth. And then allow that, just be brave enough to find a space to start to temper some of the hiding, right? And that we have to temper this, because no woman can be whole physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or financially, and definitely not relationally, without becoming connected to our heart space and allowing other people to feel it, to feel the realness of you. And so many of those clues are in our childhood, the kind of child you were. When I was young, I walked through the house singing all the time, everything. That got crushed with unhappy adults, right?
Yes. And that is so true, because that's your childhood, your inner child is where you're most vulnerable. And
Yes.
if you have to learn to protect yourself as a child, you
Yep.
will be a guarded adult. You will
Correct.
be a defensive adult.
That's
You
right.
will even be offensive. You will be an offensive adult. And like you, I move in and out of different rooms. Some are high-powered celebrity women. Some are high-powered executives. And and I want you to speak to, the thing that we have in common is that vulnerability, the ability to be vulnerable
Yeah,
and not see softness as something that is weak.
that's right. That's right. And I, LaTonya, you and I both know, and loves, if you hear nothing else, you can solve 99% of the problems in your life with your vulnerability. You can solve about 99% of them. And here's why. Because we don't even allow ourselves to be held in our distress, in our isolation. Trauma in itself is isolating. And we have various traumas. We're all experiencing traumas. We've experienced traumas. And what we have to do is get out of trauma identity and get into being and loving and embracing our identity. We are whole. Like, wholeness is our birthright. Freedom is our birthright. Love is our birthright. Wealth is our birthright. These come from an open heart. So when you get broken or broken open, it's now to allow in the care. Some of us, this is how you heal not only your own family legacy, but like your ancestral legacy, and how you start to step into being the model for allowing more softness, allowing more love. This is how we take care of 99% of the problems, because our softness gives way to a power, a deeper knowing. When we're in that state and that space of giving voice and language to the things that we're suffering from. And, and let me be clear, you have to find a safe sister. You got to know that by the spirit. Tonia, when we were chatting and I was dialoguing with you, my spirit, my knowing, because I'm connected to my knowing, I already knew I could give language to my experience with you. I knew that with clarity. I knew that that was because of who you were. So sisters, I'm not speaking to being unwise, right?
Yes.
I'm not speaking to that, because here in this world, we're only ever acting from our wound or our wisdom. We're only creating from our wounds or our wisdom. And the people around us are doing the same. So we can't be out here just prematurely sharing and sharing with people that haven't earned the space for your sacred suffering. That also, and it needs to come with the right people.
You've said so much. I like you know, like Martha, Mary and Elizabeth, right? When they saw each other, they had a leap in their belly. So I often talk to my tribe about having a belly leap. When you meet your sister who's carrying something very special, you have a belly leap, and my belly is leaping. I'm getting chills in my head because we speak the same language. And you're oh my God, it's so refreshing to hear someone else speak it, another woman speak it in the way that you're bringing it. And you connected the vulnerability to the family legacy, which is a bridge for us to talk about wealth, because most of us only know survival mode. Most of us don't know how to be provided for, or to let someone lead it. You've said so much. I like you talked about loss, and I'm also trying to be mindful of your summit. So where do we start?
Oh my goodness. So
the bridge. Let's go with the bridge between our softness, our vulnerability, and wealth, the wealth consciousness.
Yeah. No, thank you, Tonia, because LaTonya, when you were your interview, remember what I told you when we finished, when we turned off the recording? I said, girl, you almost had my hair start flying all over the place. Like, that's how I felt. Like my baby was just leaping, and I was so enriched and so full. So I cannot wait for every single one of you queens to be able to watch LaTonya's interview on the Feminine Fortune series if this calls to you and you join us, because everything that we're talking about, this is our bridge to wealth. There's a softer path. There's a softer path to making legacy money. And guess what, my loves? Your brand. So I am someone, because I have coached and catalyzed and potentialized women in my world and women throughout the world. And so I want to speak about that for a second, because what I think is important is for us to recognize we're all more alike than unalike. I have worked with women from multiple countries, multiple backgrounds. LaTonya, as you just spoke to, we want the same things in many ways. Now, there's a very divinely aligned manifestation for each of us in terms of how our lives unfold, in terms of how the petals of our flowers open up, but we desire the same things. And one of the things that I know is that every single one of us, whether we can give language to it or not, every single one of us, oh goodness, I'm so sorry. 1 second, loves. There you are. I just had this thing just pop up and erase me for a minute. Every single one of us desires a sense of alignment, a sense of aliveness, a vibrancy and a luminosity that is honest. when we don't have the bridge of softness. As you said in the beginning, Latanya, we've been culturally conditioned. So there's a model that got put in place, and it definitely was not meant for us. Because if it were, women would not be as depressed, as sick, as anxious, as sad. And I'm not talking about depression, but just sad about life and the circumstances of life. Women wouldn't feel so disheartened and so disempowered. But we're functioning in our sensitive feminine bodies in a system that was given to us and modeled to us that doesn't work. And listen, here's the short formula of it. Like, come on, it's so 80s. Like we're all much more evolved and we're much wiser. We know what feels good and we know what lights us up. And when our intuition, when we're hearing the utterances of God and we're flowing, we know the difference. You know the difference of when you're walking in glorious joy or when you're pushing and creating and manipulating and structuring and systemizing and watching everyone else and trying to get it from everyone else when their path isn't your path. Your soul and your body and your essence and your season. We can't be in new seasons operating in old systems anyway. We're all in constant evolution. We always have to be checking in. We always have to be honoring the sacredness of our being and our experience. When we have a major loss, we can't show up and do business the same way. That's when more compassion has to enter the scene. And so, Latanya, your bridge mention is that softness is the path, my loves. Like we've been bamboozled. They told us wrong. And that's why we've learned to make a lot of money and get all of our stuff and then not be properly partnered, not be in purposeful partnership, not be in joy and not be in wholeness because we're functioning without our heart space leading us. And I mean in everything, how you email, how you text, how you enter a room.
Talk about it.
How you enter a room. Do you enter the room to pour love or is it to get like the patriarchal system is set up? We're not there. We're here to give. We're here to surrender. We're here to allow ourselves to be open vessels, whatever cost comes with that. The expense of it will be paid in a way that's fulfilling and satisfying when we're all full, when we're all aligned, and when we're the breath. We're bringing breath, and we're not afraid to be the only one doing it.
So, Tonia, I hear somebody saying, yeah, I hear y'all talking about that soft life, right? And they've experienced loss, and you mentioned the loss, right? They've experienced the loss, whether it be through death or divorce or brokenheartedness.
Yeah.
And so the survival mode that oftentimes that puts a woman into, she doesn't think that she has time to be vulnerable, or she may not even have resources. How do we speak to sisters who are high achievers,
Yes.
who have been taught to be good girls, go to school, get a good education, and maintain that, when we don't prioritize relearning or unlearning what we've been taught about how to get it, how to get money, how to get the bag?
Yes.
You know, that we're in the bag culture, right? The come up culture. And usually the only time I see a majority of women come to for my rites of passage process, for a deeper level of dive into the feminine, is when they're in distress, which is a poverty consciousness. People don't understand that is poverty consciousness to operate out of desperation and pain versus choice and pleasure.
Yes. Wow. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, there's so much to be said even in that, right? Like
we've been brokenhearted. You and I have been brokenhearted. You've
everything
been lost. You've had to
everything
rebuild our families and yet love again.
Yes.
yet, yet access a new way. Like last year, I was working on a project, Tonya. It was a television project
Mm-hmm.
in good old Atlanta. We call it Scamlanta because there's about 3 Atlantas, okay? There is Atlanta, the progressive Atlanta, yes, that has the history, and we love that. That's the Atlanta by day. Then
Yeah.
there's an Atlanta that's an underground Atlanta, and that's the people who get it how they live, however they do it at night. That's the underground Atlanta. And then there's the scam Atlanta. That's where all these Northerners have come down with their hustle, and in Southern culture, we are still in our heart chakra in the South.
Mm.
Even when I moved north or mid in the mid-Atlantic region, I was in my heart chakra and I adjusted to live in such a different environment. I'll just call it different, not in the heart, definitely.
Yeah.
And so I was working on this project, and the influencers had the look. I was working with about 6 or 7 influencers, all female cast. I was the coach on set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The and I was so excited for this to be able to come, and then maybe it still will come. All of them were single.
Mm-hmm.
All of them had been millionaires, had lost money, and some of them were even still hustling through influence.
Mm-hmm.
They had the look. They spent big money on wardrobe and all of that, but
Mm-hmm.
their hearts, they did not know that that femininity meant a spiritual practice, a demonstrative decision to do the inner work.
Right.
I I wonder if tell us now that we've been talking about this, how the Feminine Fortune Summit can speak to and encourage the woman who has already created an identity for herself in the marketplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way. That's still the look is beautiful, but
Right.
the way it costs them something.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Latanya, the very first thing that just came to mind when you said that I thought of is that energy is everything. And energy tells the
Talk
truth.
to them, Tanya.
Energy tells the truth, right? So this isn't a look. And that's what I really love, even when I have the opportunity to work with my clients. And whether I'm doing coaching to do the inner work and help with transformation and wholeness and creating more wealth and aligned business and all the things, or it is about like we're focusing on creating the brand, right? That the brand is based on your energy. And it's not a look. The look gives context clues to your heart space. But energy is undeniable, right? That's why I always myself think the truth is in the energy and the energy is in the truth. And so until we're doing our work and we're healing and transforming trauma and literally like becoming the real us, the true us, the natural us, the now us, we're walking in and your energy is evident to anybody that's energetically sensitive. Now, maybe the people that they themselves are disconnected may not pick up on it, but it's a frequency and it's a potency and softness and love and connectivity. That's our natural state. That's why we're born and why we immediately skin to skin with our parents. We're meant to be connected as humans. Touch is supposed to be natural for us. So I love when I hug people and they say, I'm not a hugger, but I felt good hugging you. And I'm like, you know what? I felt great hugging you too, because I love that you gave me the opportunity to just love on you. Most of us are needing, and you know this, Latanya, we're needing to fill in gaps that our family of origin, in many cases, no matter how successful, no matter how statured your family was, I come from a range of people. And like you, Latanya, I've seen the most accomplished and dignified and grand have so much heartbreak. And
Yes.
that ran through the family, and it created an entire legacy and a pathology of problematic relationships, every kind of dysfunction, right?
Yes.
So when we make the decision, vulnerability, this is what I would say, especially to some of you who feel like I don't have a space to be that
Yes.
visible, because if I do, this could affect my job, this could affect my career. I've worked in confidence with so many different people with different forms of celebrity or influence. And one thing that I will say is it is important for you to find your person, that you have that safe
Mhm.
space, that safe container to have conversations that are unedited, that there's no judgment. What I love myself about my life, and if we really had some time, honey, I feel like I can identify with every woman on here because I've been many things. I am my 55, going on 55 years. I've been many things. I've reinvented myself so many different times. And there have been seasons of necessity to be one. There's multi layers and all the things, but I relate to anyone. I can take it to the block, and I know you, and I will be Tonia from the block in that moment. And I feel like I could stroll up in the White House and be like,
Yes.
hello, Democrats and Republicans. Like, I just feel like I can be anywhere, right? And so I think that women, we need to own that. We need to own that about ourselves. We're multifaceted. You are so dynamic. We've been forced into these shells of boringness, and it's just so bland. And it's not attractive. And for those of you that don't feel like you have the safe space, you do have to find your person. You do have to find the mentor or the woman that can really nourish you and hold you sacredly, so that you have at least that
Yes.
space. And until you find that woman, you have to be that for yourself. You have to mother and father yourself and be there and hear yourself and hear your heart and kneel down in the spirit to your 5-year-old wounded version, or whatever year or years you experienced your different versions of trauma, right? And the reason that that's so important is when you just have your journal. I remember I had an experience once where I felt like so much disconnection was trying to keep me from being connected to myself, because the people around me were feeling afraid of vulnerability, right? And
Mhm.
I knew that I needed to go even deeper into my own vulnerability. And so just sitting with my heart and thinking about the decades that I've been through and the things that I've experienced, that's a starting space for some of you that are like, I don't know who I could trust. I don't know who I could talk to. I'm very plugged in these realms, and this person knows this one, or these things. Now, what I will say, that's the blessing in having a professional, where there's some ethics and there's some codes that prevent people from
That's right.
trusting you anyway. That's the
That's
blessing in hiring professionals like Latanya or myself, or the other, caring servants out here, because you're protected ethically because of the ethics and the codes that are there to ensure that that's a private conversation, no matter who knows who. But I would also say that this is life work. And you spoke to that, Latanya. This is life work and soul work and exquisite soul care and exquisite self-care that
Mhm.
transcends your position in your
Mhm.
family or in your career of choice. And you being whole and being well and being full and being in your own true luminosity, this enhances your career. This invites, when you're in that softness of your heart space for yourself, when you're in compassion for yourself, when you're witnessing yourself, you're witnessing your traumas, you're witnessing your fears, you're witnessing what you've survived and the scars that remain. When you do that for you, it's such a sacred and personal journey. And what happens is, you get to take that into these other spaces. It doesn't mean that you have to go there and announce to everyone that you're doing your work and that you're transforming. No, you just start to embody it, because you start to love yourself and others differently from
Mhm.
that space, from that posture. You're postured differently when you're whole and when you're healed and when you're willing to do that.
So Tanya, I got to keep on chipping away, because we hear And when I say chipping away, you all, it could be a Freudian slip in terms of using psychotherapy language or psychology language, because many of us have become so hardened. And I do mean chisel away. I do want to close out with a couple of things, and that is, why not women's fortune? Why did you choose feminine fortune as a focus, or to talk about wealth? Because even when I talk about wealth, I talk about it from a feminine place as well. I
Yeah.
talk about it from a spiritual place, because money is energy.
Yes.
So why did you say feminine fortune? What do we need to shift? Like, what are 2 or 3 things we need to shift to even get to feminine fortune and a new relationship with money?
Oh, I love the question, because this is my language. This is what really, really, really lights me up. And for one, feminine fortune was inspired. It was divinely inspired. Like, this has been in my soul essence. I did a summit years ago called Feminine Gold, because I'm a lover of gold, and I've studied gold and why I see gold in all women, and what we are. And I will say this, it couldn't have been women's fortune, because not all women are feminine. And that's just our reality right now. Like, we're here, like the feminine fortune, we're wanting to really dive into women having their fortune in that alignment that obviously speaks to every one of our individual desires, our heart's desires. And it's different for every single woman, but we don't access it the same unless we access our femininity. Like, our femininity is where we're allowing, it's being in the mystery. It's tapping into your heart space and recognizing that your softness does not create a space for weakness. It doesn't leave you without, it actually allows you to gain access, because you're willing to soften. Softness is pliability. It's where everything starts to move and flow, and your radiance and your love that really is genuine in you, even if you've had to survive, you allow it a space. And that is the magnet. That's the magnet for wealth. You want more clients, you want people to really see you, allow your energy to be softened. Allow your heart space when another woman is trying to connect with you, or is complimenting you, or is standing for you and is coming. Know consciously that you may sabotage it, because it
Ooh.
doesn't feel natural, right? Most
Mhm.
of us have been more conditioned to people finding judgment, criticisms, coming into our space for something that's wanted, or maybe not acting with as much kindness. But we have to take a stand. We have to
Yeah.
be the women that take a stand to transform this.
Yes.
And this is where our wealth is. And listen, the inner wealth begets the outer wealth, because
Yes.
then you're connected to your womb, your spiritual womb, and the babies, the things that get planted. You're like, oh, that idea, ooh, I don't know. Then the logical and the masculine kicks in. You can't do that. This is this, the election's going on, and there's this happening. And no, 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 honey, our intuition, this is where the gold is. This is why femininity is important, because the feminine knows how to access the truth and the flow and surrender and allow and bring in the support to catalyze and make sure our babies come into full life. And that equates to greater levels of wealth and greater levels of satisfaction and
Yes.
fulfillment and meaning in creating.
Because many of us have not seen a very feminine woman lead the family. When we talk about family legacy,
Yes.
oftentimes it has been the model of Big Mama, uh,
Yes.
who sacrificed herself, who martyred herself. And then when Big Mama leaves the family falls apart. That we don't keep property, we don't have trust, we don't know anything about um, uh, how to make our money work for us. So many of us are programmed to work for our money. And so there's no space. And even when it comes to cultivating our feminine in sacred spaces, it requires an investment. And that's when it changes. This is when you meet yourself, when it's time that you have to put some skin in the game.
Yes.
And that's when your consciousness say, I can't afford it. Oh, I don't have the time to do that. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, I don't know about this. Because even religion can keep you in a space of energetic poverty because it's fear-based religion,
Yeah.
fear-based relationship with God. And so
Yep.
we have a fear-based relationship with money. We have a fear-based relationship with our marriages. We have a fear-based relationship that we pass on to our children. And everything, every decision we make is about fear survival, which keeps us enslaved.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. And until we heal our money core, that's one of the things that I do in my Total Woman Mastermind is we have a whole big segment and container that focuses just on what you said, LaTonya, for that very reason, because we've adopted this mindset. And most of the time it's not ours. The scarcity came from someone else. So we have to learn how to heal our money core and give those things back and create from that space of our true birthright, knowing like there is no lack. There is no lack.
Listen, you just said something. I got to catch it. I got to catch it. You said from our money core.
Yeah.
I like that because you said we have to give from our money core. And what I heard the emphasis was on give, because when you become self-protected, when you stop giving, a lot of times women are waiting to receive. What can I take? What can you do for me? Even when it comes to our relationship with men. And I just wanted to catch that. Y'all got to catch some things too. You all heard some gems already. My friend, another Tonia is in the room. And so I had to highlight, they said where two or more gather, right?
Yes. We see you, Tonya.
Tonya said these Tanyas are not playing with you.
I love it. I love her.
I love her too. And so yeah, if you all heard something and you don't have a question, you don't have to have a question. I want you that have been watching, what are your favorite frames? This is something we do in private process, because what happens is a lot of times there's so much information we don't digest it. We just move on to get some more information and we do nothing with it. So those of you, I'm going to do this closeout exercise with Tonia, but I want you in the comments, if you've heard something, capture it, call it back, and let us know that you heard it, that it landed somewhere in your heart, in your spirit, in your reflection. So catch anything that you heard so far. I want to capture it. Go on and put it in the comments. And I want to close out with this. I don't want to end, but I know we have the Feminine Fortune Summit coming up, and in the company of so many amazing people. Tell us about some of the topics that you have, and then we're going to do this closeout exercise. And let's do it. I'm trying to be mindful of your time. I'm not rushing you. You can stay.
No, I love it here. Like, I love it. It's so funny with my in-love children. When my children get married, one of my daughters, she says, "You're going to love it here." And so I love it here. But I will just say this. So Feminine Fortune, the beauty is, my loves, you can come and hear LaTonya and the other 19 powerhouses. These sessions that are recorded for you. These women have been on everything from Forbes, All Network, every magazine you could think of, like their platform. They have used their life for blessing others, and they're standing up in the world and serving. The summit is free. It's virtual. You can listen from anywhere in the world at any time on the day that the interviews are airing. You have the flexibility. So they're really, what I wanted to do is make sure that there weren't limitations on you being able to get filled up. This is the time to reset. Like, this is the Feminine Fortune reset. If we think about it, it's like the soft life, wealth life reset for every single one of you that just needs the love in this time. And we all do. We're feeling it. LaTonya spoke to it when we came on. Our energy is different right now. It's definitely been a lot to contend with. And those of us that are sensitive, and even if you don't think you are, it's It's reflecting. Life is giving you feedback. So this is a space to come and be nourished. This is not, I will give you the fair warning. This is not your business as usual conversations where you will be bored about these basic strategies on marketing and sales and your brand and all the things. Baby girls, we getting into it. And it is fun. It is light. My interviews with every single one of the queens has been so nourishing. Like I left every single one of my recordings full. I have decided to create a foundations video where I'm actually going to welcome you in. We're going to talk about femininity. I'm going to lay some groundwork so that you can better optimize the interviews as we use particular language, as we talk about certain things that we've evolved or overcome. The women in this summit are giving it up. They've been generous. You know, some that were supposed to be 30-minute interviews, they went on because they are pouring. You're going to be inspired. No matter what you're doing, you're going to feel like you can make it new. And that's what this is about. But the knowledge base, so LaTonya, to answer your question specifically, we are dealing with feminine sales. Feminine sales look really different than when you're going in the masculine model to get, to convince, to try to, you know, have people know that you're great and you're worthy of the promotion if you're in corporate or, you know, clientele or with your products and services. And so we're talking feminine sales, marketing. We're talking about spirituality. LaTonya, I mean, I needed to get my offering played out. I was like, we bounced all over the place. That thing nearly had, y'all, I needed to wash my hair that day and I got on that thing greasy. I didn't even want to move my head so that my greasy little streaks of hair wouldn't fall forward because I just wanted to shake my head all over the place. LaTonya was going in so hard in the softest way, of course. And so we're really getting into the heart space. I wouldn't even be able to capture. We're talking all things ecstatic wealth, exquisite soul care, love. We're going to talk about relationships and receiving and being partnered. For those of you that are even in a relationship, how can we up level this so that you get your needs met? So we're talking about all of that. How are you going to get your needs met spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally? It's all there for you. And listen, there isn't a better time. We're changing right now, my loves. Like if you're awake, and I have chills all over right now. If you're awake, you feel it. You feel it.
That's right.
We're here on shift talking. We're doing some shift talking. It's time for shifts, my loves. What's coming for you? You want to get yourself fortified now so that you can better optimize the things that are opening up to you. We got to get ready, loves. And that's what we're doing. Some transformation and some healing on there. Like we're not sending you off to be great with that old stuff. We're getting some real love into your soul so that you
can. How many of you have heard me say all of this about us getting ready? We've been talking about this since 2020, and it is gearing up, and the illusions and the delusions are real. And every time I come on, this is why we're doing Shift Talk, because it is time for the light workers, the healers, the empaths, the creatives, the heart-centered entrepreneurs to show up. It's time for you to get off the fence. It's time for you to stop hiding and pretending like you don't have a say, that you don't know what to do. It's time for you to call people on when you were the one who did not get let's say the injection, and you knew better and you stood for yourself and everybody looked at you like crazy. It's time for you who have paid the price for, and you called yourself the black sheep. No, you're not just the black sheep. You are the light worker. You are your ancestors' wildest dreams. You are the one that's been called for a time and a season such as this. You are the one that you have been waiting for. And they said that the West is going to be saved by a woman. It will not be saved by the woman that has been in front of us. It will be saved by the woman who has been the most forgotten. It has been the most downtrodden. It will be saved by you remembering that you are the Holy Grail. You, Mother, Ancient One, these are your children. And it's time for you to show up and act like mama and not like a dependent. So listen, I want to capture what the sisters have asked and what they captured from you. And then I have a closing exercise because I do everything in rebirthology on the power of the P. Now, the power of the P in the culture usually is about that P that is a sacred portal. But no, we go beyond that P into purpose,
Mm,
pleasure, passion, and profits. And so I want to capture that from you in just a moment before I get back from all of them. So this is what they said they heard from you, okay? They from us in here today. Energy is in truth. Truth is in energy. Yes, life of
that's life
intent.
of intent, right?
Yes. Then Jeannie said that she heard vulnerability is not weakness.
Right, Jeannie.
And life of intent says softness is a path. Come on, y'all, keep it coming. And you said, Chantel said, belly jump. You were a giver and stopped blocking my money, my own energy yield. Yeah, you remember money. Money is use it as an acronym for my own energy yield. I'm glad you caught that, Chantel.
Love, yes.
And Tonia, she said, I heard soften my heart and my approach to everything. I
Yes.
am on a mission to soften and pour love into every space I find myself in. And
Oh,
Tonia, you can do it. Y'all, this is
yes.
family. This is a friend of many years. You can do it, Tonia. You got Tonia power. You listen, you just been
That's right. That's right.
let's see. Okay, so Chantel said up leveling,
Mhm.
and Tonya said it's time. We're ready. And
Yes.
you said channeled. I don't know. Were you talking about when I was talking life of intent?
Uh,
Yeah, it just
yeah.
came through. When you are in the space with other people who get it,
Hmm.
all your cells get activated because it's an ancient knowing. We
Yes.
have an ancient connection. And
Yes.
let me say this, I must say this to honor the Divine Mother.
Mm.
The Divine Mother told me what my assignment was.
Mm.
And when you meet your sister,
Mm.
you hear because mama arranged it. The ancient one will show you who your sisters are, who are devotees, to
Mm.
turn the hearts of the daughters back to the mother.
Whew. Girl, I have chills all over. Just was trying to get myself together from your last outpouring. At least my hair is clean today. I was able to move my head. Time to get me
And this is, I'm in rites of passage right now. I'm doing a one rites of passage. So when you're teaching, all cells start coming online, and before you get ready to go up, you're getting so much. And so
going.
I'm so available for spirit. Okay, so you all captured it. Yes, big mama energy
Big
is in
mama.
the house.
Right.
so
Right.
so I'm gonna throw the word out and you finish it with one or two sentences.
Okay.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Oh,
So
on a game show.
yes,
What was it? Purpose?
purpose. Purpose.
Purpose guides my every step, and purpose is what leaves me the fullest.
Oh, y'all. Purpose
Purpose
leaves
leads
me
me
full.
Purpose leads me full. You know, I made a joke recently, Latanya, with someone that I consider to be one of my purpose partners. And obviously, you're one of my new ones, one of the latest divine additions. I love. But I said to one of my purpose partners, I was so lit up one day about connecting to my vision. It was actually about the summit, because as you know, they're a lot of work. They require a lot of the masculine. So I've had to stay soft to bring the message forth, right? While I got to do all this masculine stuff. And
Yeah.
I reached out to one of my friends and I said, oh my gosh, I had to say this. You're so lit up by purpose. Like, we're so turned on by purpose. Like, purpose is a turn on for me. So
Yeah.
let's leave it there. But it is. I get turned on by purpose. Big time.
That's a good segue though. The next one is pleasure.
Pleasure. Pleasure is our divine right. And it's how we're created. And a woman in her pleasure is glorious.
I just love you.
I love you too, Latanya.
Passion. Passion.
Passion has been, let me speak from my heart on this one because it came so clearly. So, passion has been wrongly defined. Passion is you at your essence, and everything that speaks to your soul, everything that causes you to feel aliveness. And passion is your purpose.
Yes. Yes. And then finally, profits.
Profits. Profits allow you to become more of your spiritual self. Money touches everything, and profits are connected to your purpose.
Wow. Listen, y'all, if you're doing anything that you love, or you are doing anything for money and you don't love it,
Mm,
and you wonder why you just have enough to pay bills, is because your energy is being drained. You have an energy leak.
yeah, yeah.
I want you, sister, who's watching, have you ever been in a space? Think about a time in your life where you were so on purpose, and you may not have made a lot of money, but you had everything that you needed.
Yeah.
That is wealth.
Yes.
That is what, and listen, I have a mentor who is the daughter of the H&R Block. She's one of the letters in the
Wow.
H&R Block.
Wow.
And I remember I was just I was doing MLM, and it was draining me, my life force.
Mm-hmm. Been there.
Hmm. And she said to me, "What are you doing?" She
Mm.
said, "No, no, 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 no." She said, "When you have to make money just to get by," she said, "that's a bridge job.
Mm.
But you have to cross the bridge to do what you were called to do."
Mm-hmm.
But many of us get stuck on the bridge,
Yeah. Yes.
or
Yeah.
we get stuck on the other side and say, one more year. So I
Right.
just wanted to add that to profits, because your sister Tonia Lewis over here is lighting me up. And I'm so honored to be a part of a conversation around feminine fortune. And I heard to also share this. This connection came from another connection that a lot of people don't even know that I have.
Mm.
And I thought about a sister whose movement is taking off. She is in our personal circle. Her name is Michelle Lopez, and she has the movement called Refer Her.
Oh, for her, I
She
like.
is, now you may know her if you don't know her, and I am intentionally saying her name
Yeah.
on live like this
Yes.
because Michelle just started with something that was in her heart.
Mm.
Now, her purpose, she's a celebrity stylist, much like you were. She's
Oh,
a Iyanla stylist.
yeah.
And she just got so tired of women holding everything to themselves. This connection came because of a woman who referred her.
Yep. Yep.
And I just want to tap in Michelle Lopez in this conversation, and just any other woman who's doing God's work out here. Any woman working with the feminine, you are an agent of change.
Yeah.
Tonia Lewis, you are indeed an agent of change, and you are indeed a freedom fighter. This is what freedom fighting looks like. This is the Underground Railroad of change, but it's not really underground anymore. And
Mm.
I am so honored to be in the company of women who are willing to have conversations, new conversations, because the 8 energy year is about wealth and prosperity, but not in the way that we've known it. You must have first integrity and clear
Mhm.
your karma, because 8 is a karmic number. And
Mhm.
so you have to also match the spiritual intention. It's not wealth in the same way. And so many of my daughters and my nieces who are millionaire, I call them the millionaire millennials.
Yes.
They're learning that they cannot chase the bag the same way. They have to tap into this inner space that you and I know something about. You've been talking about you 55, honey. I'm 53. I'm right behind you. We're Gen Xers, and it's time for Gen Xers to get off the fence as well. So if there's nothing else for you all in the comments that you want me to say, this will be the time as I close out. Make sure that you tap into all things Rebirth with LaTonya on YouTube, on Instagram. I wish some of you, I can invite some of you all to Rites of Passage, but some of y'all been on the fence. And so we are getting ready to have a beautiful we're getting ready for 2025. So those of you who want to go through Rites of Passage, get plugged in, start attending on Sundays. We have opened up Sundays. Every first Sunday of the month, we are coming together for Rebirth Sunday. So all things Rebirth live in this space. And I love you all. Thank you for watching. Share this out with someone. If you're on my email list, you should have gotten an announcement. If not, you'll get another one today. Also, check my LaTonya Taylor, the Rev Coach. You'll get all of the feminine fortune. And of course, Tanya's information is in the description below. Thank you, Tonia, for joining us. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the live. And
No, thank you. Thank you so much. It was such an honor. I love you. I love all you queens that were listening. Remember, there are no replays. LaTonya gave you some really genuinely beautiful advice about stepping in to invest and to take your place. There aren't any replays. You don't have the time that you think you have. Just get moving. Just get moving, my loves. Yes. I love you. I hope we see you in the Feminine Fortune Summit.
Yes, indeed. Ciao, everyone.
Bye, LaTonya. Thank you